Welcome to Thursday, April 10th, 2025. This Day with a Podcast brought to you by ConverseCountyTourism.com. Feel the energy of Converse County. Explore Douglas's railroad heritage, Ayers Natural Bridge, and the Jackalope legend. Glen Rock boasts scenic trails, dinosaur history, and small-town charm. Plan your visit at ConverseCountyTourism.com. Well, beautiful spring weather coming on up. As you can see there, the deer out as the temperature is getting warmer and moving around a little bit, and also trying to get away from the wind. The good news about the wind is that it will be diminishing. Yes, there'll still be some breezy areas, but the winds will calm down after a very windy day yesterday across the region. With diminishing wind, sunshine, and building high pressure, we've got a big warm-up. Literally, air out of the deserts gets pushed into the central Rockies and the central high plains. You'll see this time of year where you get big differences in where the air masses are coming from. So a big warm-up's coming before we have that much cooler air come in Sunday and Monday. So back and forth, up and down, the temperatures go. So do be ready for that change in the weather. It starts Saturday and Saturday night in the Pacific Northwest, western Wyoming, western Montana, eastern Idaho. You're going to get some showers and thunderstorms. Then across and areas east of the Continental Divide, we'll see the colder air come in Sunday and Monday. The better chance of rain and some snow will be Montana, North Dakota, far areas of northern Wyoming, with a few scattered showers and thunderstorms that are going to pop Sunday across some portions of eastern Colorado, maybe portions of southern Wyoming. Nothing that's going to add up to a lot, but there is going to be a bit of shower activity around the region Sunday into early Monday. Then as we get into next week, yesterday and the previous days, we've been talking about a lot of uncertainty. Are the models doing any better? The answer is yes. We'll talk about that here in a moment. So from the Sierra Nevada of California to the Intermountain West, you see a nice shot of the moon there. And as you'll see here in the satellite imagery, high pressure is building back into the region. So we're going to see this area of high pressure be in complete control through the course of the next 48 hours. This system off the Pacific Northwest coast is going to initially kind of bump into this high pressure ridge, but will start to move in and push in to Washington, Oregon, Northern California as we get into tomorrow. But for a lot of the West and the central United States, it's going to be just delightful. We will see some areas of showers and thunderstorms in the southeastern United States. We'll show you here in a moment. There is going to be some severe weather down in the deep south again, but you can see a lot of fair weather across our part of the world. And that's how it's going to roll today into Friday because of this area of high pressure that will be very strong and building in quite quickly. Now, we're still looking at strong winds aloft right here. So early in the day, we're still going to have some breezy areas in this location here, but the winds will not be as strong as yesterday. There will be some severe weather in parts of those areas that were hit by flooding this past weekend. Now, this type of outbreak is nowhere close to what they experienced this past weekend, but the rest of the nation going to be very quiet. Now, this is by early Saturday morning. We see the front has moved it into the Pacific Northwest, so they're going to be getting rain, some thunderstorm activity, and colder weather there. But if you follow the wind barbs, the air moves clockwise around a high. It moves counterclockwise around a low, so the airflow is directed from the deserts. So air right here gets transported right into here. So big warm-up during the course of the day Friday and the Saturday. There's going to be some 70s and there's going to be some 80s as a yellow arrow representing that desert air pushing in the warmth. So the temperature anomaly by Friday looks like this. By Saturday looks like this. Look at these temperatures Saturday along the Front Range of Colorado. Not only are you getting desert air, but if you look and notice carefully that the brighter colors here, the bigger temperature anomaly where temperatures are the warmest, are just east of the mountains. That's because the air is going downhill or chinooking. When air goes down, it gets compressed compression of the air or a compression of the gas, natural gas law, you're going to see a warmth. So this is where Chinooks warm the atmosphere as the air sinks. So there's a good reason why the Front Range of Colorado and southeastern Wyoming looks so warm Saturday because of the downsloping effect. Now you can see the warmth here is replaced by the cold in the Pacific Northwest with that trough. So by the time we get to noon Sunday, that trough's moving across northeastern Montana, and notice the wind barbs are now changing. So we're going to see colder air come in on the back side of this system. So during the day Sunday and the Monday, there's your cold weather. By noon Monday, the cold front's all the way down into Texas. So you can expect there's going to be some thunderstorms and maybe some severe weather along this frontal boundary. So the air mass gets replaced and it goes down with temperature. This is the back and forth of spring. This is classic for April. This is what precipitation through Monday looks like. Here's the more organized rain and a little bit of wet snow up into these areas here and across the Pacific Northwest. I showed you this yesterday. There's going to be some shower and thunderstorm activity in this area during the day Sunday and lingering into early Monday. You notice how they kind of make lines? These lines represent bands of showers and thunderstorms that will develop and then will move. So there's going to be some instability here and a little bit of rain shower and thunderstorm activity Sunday into Monday there, along with those colder temperature readings. Snow levels are going to be fairly high because of all the warmth that's getting pushed out against this system. Now, as we get to the middle of next week, this is kind of where we stopped with the forecast yesterday because of the big discrepancy in the models. Things are a little bit better today, although you always got to be ready for variability and differences. It gets a little complicated when we get into the middle of next week. We go back to a zonal flow here coming in out of the west-northwest across the nation. We do have a couple of ripples. There's going to be an upper level low that's going to kind of meander across the Great Basin and the Rockies as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. And there's going to probably be a little bit of shower activity in this area of the world Wednesday and Thursday as the system moves through. But yesterday, we were looking at the threat of a deeper trough coming on in, and that's where the disagreements really started. But I want you to pay attention to two things here for the longer term. That trough up here and this upper level low off the coast of Southern California. What it's looking like is after this cool down, Sunday, Monday, and the Tuesday, we're looking at what I would call seasonal conditions. Temperatures aren't going to be as warm next week as what we're seeing in the days ahead, but they're not going to be too cool either. But the general flow will be from the west-northwest with little ripples coming along. That'll keep the wind up. That will bring occasional showers to the western United States, but the precipitation amounts are going to be generally light, probably for most of the work week next week. But once we project further, going past day 6, as we get into late next week and Easter weekend, is where things get a little bit different. So what I'm going to do here is show you what I did yesterday, which is compare the European model. It's the deterministic output with the AI version. And yesterday we had a huge discrepancy. Now the discrepancies today get a little bit better. If you look at the date up here, this is for the 20th of April. This is for Easter Sunday. You can see we've got a bit of a trough wanting to come through the west, a bigger area of low pressure here, and it's kind of messy up here, probably not resolving these things very well. But generally speaking, there's a broad area of high pressure that's going to want to build here. And remember, when the Eastern Pacific is in high pressure, the ridge opens the door to the fridge, so to speak. So high pressure in the Pacific Eastern areas allows the jet stream to start to take dips in the west again and further south than what we're seeing right now. So we're seeing hints that by next weekend, a pattern change is going to evolve. The AI version is more robust. It's deeper, it's further south. And notice, see this right here? Notice the high is more well-formed as compared to the European solution. So a better well-formed high here results in a better well-formed low-pressure system here. So we're basically looking at a change in the weather Easter weekend, of course. Whether or not the changes are big or little, we're going to just have to wait until we get a little bit closer. The GFS model is also starting to line up with a better area of high pressure. So we've seen a marked improvement in the solutions. Hopefully things are settling down a bit. I think a lot of the problem has been out here in the Pacific trying to figure things that are going on. Now, if you're still with me, and I know the weather nerds are still with me, going to talk a little bit about why I think the model solutions are a little bit better and just take a look at some graphs and charts here. The Pacific North American Oscillation, or the PNA, we've talked about this before. This helps us determine where the pressure systems are in the North Pacific and across the North Pacific from North America over to the other side. And when we see it go into a negative phase, we will tend to get colder and wetter in the Rockies and the Western High Plains. If you look at the dates here, starting with today, if you look at where the PNA goes negative, it's right at the start of next weekend. It kind of stays positive. There's some ups and downs here. There's a little bit of a spike midweek, and then it goes negative. And it goes negative rather sharply, then stays below that there through the last days of April. So that is a fairly strong signal right here. And if we compare another way of looking at this, this is also the European model, where we have the mean of many models running together, this green line. It also goes negative at the same time frame. But there are two lines here, the control run, the mean run. I'm not going to go too much into that, but what I want you to pay attention to are the error bars. You see these error bars? So notice that the error bars are very tiny for the first 5 to 6 days here of the forecast. This is where the forecasting accuracy is the best, the next 5 to 6 days. You expect a normal error rate to go up further in time, because the further away you get from your initial set of data, which is where we get them for the weather balloons and other observations, you're going to have a bigger risk of error. Notice that the error bars go out pretty far as you go further out. That's to be expected. However, it's very subtle comparing today's runs with yesterday. If you notice the error bars right here yesterday compared to where they are today, okay, we have a shrinking of errors. Basically, what we're seeing here is less error today compared to yesterday. So if we see that trend continuing, our long-range modeling, our long-range confidence in a change in the weather Easter weekend will grow in the days ahead. But we're still far out. So enough nerdy stuff. We'll see you tomorrow.